Hello, I am back, finally. Um, yeah, it's been busy. I'm gonna talk about, uh, video stuff more at the end of the video, but that's not what this video is about. I am here in Utah. It was released last night, well, it was released yesterday. I want to say it was last night sometime, but I was working evening shift yesterday. I'm working evening shift again today. That's why I'm able to make this video now. I've got a whole backlog of videos I'm supposed to be making at some point. I'm going to try to get them all out next week sometime. As I said, I'm going to talk about that stuff later. Right now, we're just looking at the state. Now, usually in previous videos, I'd just sort of take a short load. I know with the Oregon video, I basically just ran from Hornbrook into Medford, I think. Or maybe I went a little bit further north, but a very small part of the state. With the Washington video, I think I just ran around here a little bit. So, my point stands. Unfortunately, we're going to be doing the same thing again. I'm just going to take a load from Moab. I was going to go to Salt Lake City, but I couldn't find a one. So we're going from Moab down here to Provo up here, and then we're probably just going to bobtail up to Salt Lake so you can get a quick look at it. Because there's an area over here I want to show off that's really cool. And then, if you want to see the rest of the state, you'll have to come look at it yourself. Unfortunately, Utah seems to be a bit of a smaller state. And, looking at the map here, it doesn't really look like we got all that much. Just looking at it. However, I was looking at Utah on Google Maps, just zoomed out so I could see the whole state like this, and it pretty much looks like they hit all the major cities. And I'm sorry if me saying that offends anyone who lives in Utah in a smaller city. But I don't know. From someone on the East Coast, it feels like they pretty much did what they had to do here, and we got what we needed in this state. And while there isn't much here from the bit I've seen so far, what we do have is very detailed. It's really is impressive how they managed to fit more and more detail into every DLC they release. And I know that's kind of what everyone says, and I'm saying it too because it's just true. I'll link this Autocar mod in description, by the way. I wanted to use this truck because the mod is brilliant. I do find the truck kind of ugly, though. With all that being said, let's go and get our load. I should also mention, I've got a 15 speed in this truck, and I still haven't quite gotten used to the gearing, so there may be some what seem to be silly mistakes from the standpoint of watching, but it's really just that it's a 15 speed and the gear ratios are kind of weird. And of course, button clutch as usual. Yada yada. The first thing I do want to mention with this is performance, because I have been getting... I need 3 hands. I have been getting a few performance dips. But at this point, my PC is a bit outdated. So, if you're on an older system like I am, you may struggle a little bit. But I also still have my graphics settings pretty high. I could put them lower, and then I'd probably have better performance. If you have a computer that's better than mine, which I'd say probably 90% of people do, then you probably won't have any problem. Overall, the game runs smoother. There are just some times that it completely freezes where it didn't on DirectX 9. But, oh well, what can you do? I'm also sorry if I'm, sniffling into the mic or anything. did have a cold, it's me missing gears again. It's mostly gone away at this point. My nose is just still a little sniffly. So, I apologize for that. That's part of the other reason I haven't really been making videos lately, is I haven't really felt up to it. There we go. So here's that new loader texture again. Oh. I think, hold on. Yeah, this is actually a slightly different trailer. In the 136 beta video that I made, the loader was on a triaxle. Now it's back on a tandem axle, but it's just a more realistic looking one. So that's interesting to note. I kind of prefer the triaxle personally. Where's the gear? There it is. Come on. So yeah, so far what I've seen of this state is really pretty. The northern bits are actually surprisingly more green than I was expecting. You know, once again, I live on the East Coast. I don't know much about Utah. Pretty much what you tend to see of it is, you know, like this, red rocks and such. But it actually gets a lot more green as you go north, which was a pleasant surprise. Stop. I probably should have started slowing down a little bit sooner there. It's getting distracted with making sure that the recording was actually recording. Dang it. In case it hasn't become glaringly obvious at this point, I'm still not using my mic stand because it still doesn't like to stay up properly. So I'm actually holding my mic in my hand right now. That's why I'm having some issues. Now this is interesting. You sort of have greenery on one side of the road, and then like sand on the other side. This would be a very interesting place to live, honestly. I tell you, the more states they add, the more interested I am in moving to the West Coast. But it might just be because I've grown up on the East Coast, so I'm used to the scenery around here. It just feels like there's a lot more diversity out west. Get it back over here. I kind of don't have much to talk about, honestly. It's just showing off the state. There has been news regarding truck dealers in this game, actually. In the code with the 136 update, there have been found both international dealers and Mac dealers. Those, like, really big-looking service centers that I found in my 136 beta video. There was one in Santa Cruz, and the other one was in Flagstaff, I think. Those are apparently going to be international dealers at some point in the supposedly near future. I've been seeing that there have been hints that international is coming before the end of the year. Whether that's actually going to happen or not, we'll have to wait and see. But it's all very exciting to think about. And there have also been prefabs for a Mac dealer, which will be the same prefab model as the Volvo dealer, just with a different sign. Which I think is a little disappointing, but still, you know, the possibility that we're going to have Macs in the game as well, or a Mac in the game. And on top of all that, I want to say a couple of the cities that currently don't have truck dealers have presets so that at some point in the probably not so near future, they will have Freightliner dealers. So that's 3 more brands that some level of compatibility was added for in the most recent update. One of which it's sounding like we may or may not get before the end of the year, and that's all very exciting. And of course, International and Freightliner aren't really that much of a surprise. There have been leaked images of an International Lone Star 3 model that was being worked on, and the Freightliner Cascadia, like a 2018 model Cascadia. But Mac was the one that really caught me by surprise. Because as far as I can remember, I don't remember ever seeing anything about a Mac possibly being added to the game. If they were going to, though, I think it'd be really cool if they added the Anthem and had the possibility to have the new limited edition tune that's come out recently, the Black Anthem. Because that's a good looking truck, and it would be cool if it was immortalized in the game. That was probably not the right time to shift. I just kind of did it absentmindedly. But yeah, so overall, my thoughts on this DLC so far, it's like $12. And you know, it's definitely, it's not the biggest. Excuse me, it's not the biggest add-on for sure, but I think it's definitely a welcome addition. And of course, you know, it'll help to round out the map a little bit. You don't have to go through Arizona anymore if you're going from, or let's put it this way: if you're going from Oregon to New Mexico, instead of having to go down Nevada or California and into Arizona and across, you can now use Utah, which is very exciting. Oops. It's some new scenery that we didn't have in the game before, and it introduced, I think they said, a new way for doing the mountains, which means it should all look more realistic, which, from what I've seen so far, it does. we've got some new sort of course, new company prefabs, some actual new companies. There's another car dealership now. So I think that makes 3 in the game in total. That's just the one I've seen. I'm sure there are other new ones as well. And this is another thing I've noticed, is companies not necessarily in towns. Like, this Charged right here. It's just sort of, I think we're on the outskirts of a town, but it feels like it's sort of in the middle of nowhere. There's a pickup point in Vernal, I believe, that it's only heavy cargoes, and it's not actually a company on the map. So that's really cool to me. You know, just there's a bunch of little stuff. I saw a bus parked at a truck stop earlier, just in one of the truck parking spots, which is something you'd see in real life, but I had personally never seen in the game before. You know, they're just working on getting all these more little details in to make the world feel more realistic, and I really appreciate it. You know, the road signs are much more detailed now. You actually have streets that have street names that correlate to the real life streets. All sorts of stuff like that. What we need now is, you know, the actual, like, it'll be like attractions next exit and gas next exit, and then have the actual sorts of different places you can find when you get off the exit. We need those signs in this game now. I'd say that would be the next step towards having extremely realistic road signs, but they're getting pretty close. And speaking of realism, this actually is going away from Utah for a second. If we go across to Europe, and the Road to the Black Sea DLC that'll be coming out probably next month sometime, they showed video footage of a ferry that it's basically just a barge with a motor that you drive onto. But when you go onto the ferry and activate it, there's an actual cutscene where you can see your truck being transported across. Well, that looks interesting down there. Wonder what's over there. You can see your truck being transported across I think it's a river. And, like, that's really cool to me. I hope we see more of that sort of stuff in the game. It would be cool if eventually they could convert all the ferries in the game to have actual cutscenes. What would be really cool would be if they could make it so that the ferries are actual moving objects within the game. That instead of activating the ferry like you do now, you actually have to get to the ferry port at a certain time when the ferry will actually be there, and then you can drive onto it, and it's not a cutscene. The ferry just actually transports you across. But of course, you could still skip it if you wanted to. I just think that would be a good step towards realism, and it would just be a really cool system to have. And of course, it would also mean that in Truckers MP, when you take the ferry with your friends, you and your friends would actually be sitting there on the ferry next to each other. I don't know. You know, that might seem unnecessary to some people, but to me, that would be really cool. Of course, I'm sure that some people also saw the cutscenes that we're going to have now as unnecessary, but to me, that's really cool. It's all just perspective. Ooh, there's an Amtrak train. Getting distracted by scenery. Whee! Sorry. I like coasting. There's some wind turbines over there. There are some... You know, Gallon Oil is a company we've been able to pull for in this game since the very beginning. There are now actually some, like, oil well sites that you can deliver to and from that are Gallon Oil properties, and I think that's a really cool little detail. I don't think I'm in the gear I want to be in. That's the gear I wanted to be in. So yeah, just personally, I feel like watching a video showing a new expansion, like, it's good if you're kind of on the fence about whether you want to buy it. Personally, I think it's worth buying every state they add to ATS, just because, you know, it's a way to support the team. They're doing really good work. The states have all looked beautiful. Each one looks better than the last, and it just adds to the map. It gives you more area to drive, which is good to me. You know, I don't think it's a cheat that they're charging money for the new maps, like some people say it is. But some people who are a little more frugal with their money might only want to buy certain states, and at that point, you'd watch videos showing off all the states to try to decide which ones you do want to buy and which ones you don't want to buy. And that all makes sense to me too. But you really just, I feel like it's hard to get a sense of what the map's really like if you can't just go explore it yourself. You know, if you're watching someone else explore it like you are right now, you'd only see what they decide you can see in their video. And I don't know, that just doesn't feel like a good experience to me compared to, you know, basically, if you have the game, if it's a game you play often, which I assume anyone who watches my videos, ATS is a game they play often, then, and you're not super tight on money, like, don't take this as waste all your money on video games. If you actually have the money that you can spend on this, you know, just spend the money, you get an extra little bit of game that you can go enjoy. You can explore to your own, I wish I could get in the right gear. You can explore to your own satisfaction, see all the sights. I can't say anything about how accurate it is, because I've never been to Utah. You know, but I'd say, as someone who lives in America, it feels American, and from what I've seen of Utah, it feels like Utah. But that's pretty much all I can say about it. You know, but basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you want the full experience, you've really just got to get it to yourself. Get it for yourself, because you're never going to get the full experience just watching someone else drive around it. Oops. Especially if they spend half the time stalling. Yeah. Ta-da. Oh. Well, here you go. Here's another new company. Farmer's Barn. I haven't seen one of them yet. There's a Farmer's Barn up there. I'm trying to remember where the car dealer I delivered to was. That was last night. I don't know. There's a new car dealer somewhere as well. But the there's also farming stuff in Utah that I haven't pretty much seen any of yet. Here it is, the Miro cars. So that was new and exciting. But then the companies that we already know, such as Gallon Oil, also have their own Like, these are oil rigs over here. And then you pick up the special transport from over here. So you see, there's not an actual company, but you pick it up basically right here, I think. And Coastline, that's probably a new thing. I haven't actually seen that yet. Kenzo, that looks like a new prefab. I don't know what the point of me pointing all this out is. That looks like the same facility, but that it might be expandable, like the prefabs have been lately. I don't know, it's just exciting to me. But I do really want to show you this, because this area is really cool. I also want to say, 15-speed transmissions. I got the one in this truck because I know they have interesting shift patterns, and I like the extra challenge of remembering that it's not a 9-split pattern, which clearly I'm not very good at. But really, unless you have a very specific, well, the sort of job this truck would do, where you're hauling heavy cargoes at low speeds, don't get a 15-speed in your truck. It's really pointless. Just get a 10-speed, or better yet, a 13. Like, you really just don't need the deproduction gears unless you're doing a very specific type of job. As a normal road driver, it's just annoying having this transmission. I just wanted to make that observation. However, as someone who's playing a video game right now and who loves driving trucks, especially unusual trucks, it is quite fun. Because it's a really weird pattern. And I couldn't even try to describe it to you. I actually had to look it up myself to figure out how to drive this thing. Not this one specifically, but a different 15-speed. Same pattern, just slightly different ratios. But it's just, trying to relearn it is just really weird. So yeah, if you have a proper wheel and shifter setup for this game, I would advise trying the 15-speed in this truck and going online and finding a 15-speed pattern like I did, because it is an interesting challenge. If you're using a sequential though, just press a button to shift up and press a button to shift down, I'd advise staying away from the 15-speed with real ratios, because the deproduction is going to get really confusing. I was having that problem last night trying to explain to Bronco how to shift this with his sequential. Because the patterns aren't made for it. Or, the ratios. It's not made to be a sequential transmission. It's a bad idea. Alright, so Farmer's Barn. I assume this is based on some sort of real-life store that I've never actually been to. Oh, there you go. If you want to tell me what the real-life equivalent of Farmer's Barn is in the comments. It looks like something I've seen before, but I can't put my finger on what. It's very cool prefab, though. I will say, I feel like these large 6-lane highways are in need of more traffic. Oh, and these are interesting intersections. So in order to make the merging on and off the highway easier, they actually switched to a sort of British configuration. Which I'm not sure if it has any actual benefit, but it sure is cool looking. But see, that's what I've always had this sort of thought. Why don't they make, like, a bridge tunnel between Great Britain and continental Europe? I don't know if it would have to do with border checking or just messing up shipping channels. But, like, obviously they can make a tunnel going under the channel because they did with train. So why can't you just have the same thing but with cars? And just have something like that in the middle where you have a traffic light, the two intersect, so that you go in, say you're going from Britain to France, you go in driving on the left side, and then right around the middle somewhere, there's a traffic light where the two sides cross over each other, so you come out driving on the right side. And it could just be a seamless connection. Like, I don't know if there's some logistical challenge or some challenge with actually building the thing, but I'd really like to know why that's not something you can just do. To be an alternative to the ferry or the train. And obviously, I'm no expert on this stuff, and I don't really know much about England or the Channel, so if I happen to have any Brits watching, please enlighten me. I'm very curious about it. It's something I've thought about for years. Like, why isn't there just a road tunnel? Oh, I will say, I did a load, bringing a haul truck chassis over here. So clearly, these entrances aren't wide enough to fit that haul truck chassis through. So presumably, you'd want to go over here, where the gates line up with each other, and drive through the middle. Except that only one gate opens at a time. I could not get both of them to open, so I just had to teleport past it. I'm not sure if that's a glitch on the part of SCS software, or if maybe you're supposed to go around that side, which definitely looks like it's too tight. You know, I'm not sure exactly what the deal is, but I couldn't get through here legitimately when I tried it. So just a word of warning, if you are gonna get this DLC and do the special cargo, I had an issue with getting through there with it. Or maybe I just missed something stupid obvious. Maybe it says on the signs which way to go. I haven't actually read the signs back there yet. And the fact that I mentioned the haul truck chassis may tell you what sort of location this one here is. It is a massive quarry. And while you unfortunately can't go down into the quarry itself, there is a bit of exploration to be done around here. You know, you see, you're supposed to go to the right, but you can actually drive straight. There's no barrier. Now, over here is where it does bar you. Obviously, that would go down into the quarry, and that road would go down into the quarry, but it seems they're having engine problems with the front truck, as you can see, and it's creating a bit of a line. But it also means you can't access the quarry. Unfortunately, I have to stop my truck again. I also noticed that some of the trucks have pink jumpers. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know if that's a texture glitch or if it's intentional. But yeah, you can pretty much drive all around this area. Can I sort of drop down onto this road? Yes, I can. Off-road truck. Aha! Yeah, I think that's going to about do it for this video. So yeah, there are some really cool places to explore, like this one. I think it's a good DLC. I think it's actually worth the money, even though it may feel like it doesn't quite have the same level of content some of the other ones do. I feel like that's wrong because, well, looking at the map, it looks like there are less roads and there are definitely less cities. What we do have, there's a lot of added detail, like all the area around here you can drive around and everything. That being said, thank you for watching. As I said, I do plan on releasing more videos next week. There's going to be the new episode of Log Runner, which was supposed to go out 3 weeks ago, but I just haven't had a chance to finish editing it. I'm going to be doing another how-to video because a subscriber mentioned an issue that I just never thought to make a video for. So that is going to be coming out. I'm going to try to do that one for Monday. And then hopefully Log Runner will be good for Tuesday. And then there are a couple more projects I'm thinking about working on that might go out later next week. So look forward to all that. I'm sorry I kind of disappeared for a while. After next week, I'm probably going to disappear again because my work schedule is just pretty much going to be busy till the end of the year. But hopefully next year we can get back on track with, 2 or 3 uploads a week like I've been trying to do. But until then, thank you for watching. I hope you have a good weekend. Enjoy Utah, and once Truckers MP has been updated, I look forward to seeing you on the roads of Utah. Thank you.